Do you want to make more money this year? Then you need to start investing. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Princess Akari and this is the YouTube Impact Series. In this episode of the YouTube Impact Series, I'm joined by Joy David, the founder of Wealth from Scratch and a senior product manager. Joy uses her platform to educate people on personal finance, career growth, and she is a strong advocate for investing. Today we'll be discussing how to start investing in a smart and easy way, platforms and tools to use, clearing up misconceptions around investing, and mistakes to avoid. Let's get into it. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Princess. Thank you. So, I'm Joy. I'm based in London. I work as a senior product manager, leading global expansion for fintech startups. But more importantly, and to why we are here today, I'm the founder of Wealth from Scratch, a platform on Instagram where I'm sharing my journey to building a $1 million investment portfolio in the next 5 years. I share everything I'm investing in, what I'm learning, and everything I'm doing along the way. I'm sure we'll dig into all of that. But I just want to say I'm super excited to be here and thank you so much, Princess, for having me.
So we're just starting from somewhere that we believe everyone will even want to know. So when people think about investing, they don't pay it any mind because it just feels like it's very intimidating and they don't even know where to start from. So when you tell people save, they already understand the concept and they quickly say, okay, I'm going to save. I know how to save. I know the benefits of saving. So for people who think that, investing is very intimidating, how can we start to shift that mindset for those kinds of people?
A big reason why investing feels intimidating for a lot of people is because money talk has been made to feel so complicated. And I have a conspiracy theory that it's on purpose. And it also doesn't help that we are not taught this in school. When you hear terms like compound interest or index funds, it feels like you need to have a finance degree or you need to have studied economics before you even start. And in a lot of African and immigrant communities, it's not something that we grew up talking about at the dinner table. Like, I don't know about you, but none of my parents or aunties ever mentioned anything like stocks or index funds or investing. So it's not something we are familiar with. So it feels like foreign territory. So when people hear about it, like, oh, that one is not, this one is not for me. I'm just going to save money, which is what a lot of us tend to do. And for instance, for the longest time, I couldn't tell you the difference between what a stock or a share is. I mean, don't judge me, but I went to school, right? But I also couldn't tell. And it just goes to show how complex these things are made to sound. And another thing is when you talk about investing, especially when it pertains to investing in the stock market, it can feel very abstract. When you invest in property, for instance, and by invest in property, I mean you buy a house, you buy land, like Nigerians would say, you buy land somewhere, right? That feels more, you can go to touch the land, you can see the building, they can send you a picture that this is your house, and it feels like you have that investment. But with stocks, you can't physically hold it, so it feels less real. And these are some of the reasons why it's made to feel intimidating. So a lot of people tend to then gravitate towards savings, which is what they easily know because again they use their bank account. But you can when you actually start investing, you start to see what the it's very different from savings. It's very different. The returns you get on investing is by order of magnitude over time different from what you get when you just save your money. And for you to start changing this mindset and stop seeing investing as so intimidating, I think what I would say is you don't need to know everything. I think that's something that make people feel even more intimidated. They hear all of these terms and they feel like they need to understand everything before they start investing. No, you don't need to know everything before you begin. You just need to know enough. And in simple terms, investing is putting money into something that will grow over time. And when you buy a share, you are just buying a piece of a company. So when you buy a share in Coca-Cola, it means you now have a tiny piece of that big Coca-Cola company. And the key is just taking that first step because you will learn more along the way than you would by just, reading about it.
Interesting. So what I'm hearing is, at the beginning you started with you think it's on purpose where it feels like investment sounds very heavy. Maybe to keep certain people in poverty. I'm not gonna
You
mention.
said it's not me, princess, but exactly, like it's a conspiracy theory I have. Like This is so key, and it's integral to how our society runs. It's integral to everything. Like the fact that you can buy a Coke is because people are buying shares in Coca-Cola to allow the company to continue. I mean, this is a very layman understand, but that's essentially how it works. So it's such a key part to how society works. It's such a key part to how we exist as humans, and it's insane to me that it's not taught in schools. Like, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing with algebra, but I would have rather let this.
Okay, so you said something about no matter what you have, you can just start small, you can just start somewhere. So for someone who doesn't have a lot of money to spare, even if they have a lot of money to spare, maybe they don't have that courage to start investing in large amounts. So let's even group them as people that don't have a lot of money to spare.
Mhm.
So for that kind of person, and they want to start investing, how do they start? So let's say I'm trying to convince my sister to start investing. She has the money to invest, but I have to convince her to start investing, and she wants to put small to see how it goes. For people who have very little amounts to start investing, how do they even start? Like, is there a minimum amount for that?
Thank you. I think I like the sister reference because I also have a younger sister, and I need to even make sure that she herself is invested. So this is what I will tell my younger sister. There's no minimum amount. So my younger sister is in Nigeria, and after this call, I'm actually going to call her to push her to actually start if she hasn't already. Even if it's just 1,000 naira if you're in Nigeria, if it's £1, if it's $1, you can start with whatever you have. On my page, Wealth from Scratch on Instagram, I post videos of myself investing £1,500 now, £2,000 now, and people do always comment, "Oh, I don't have up to that," but what they forget is I did not start from investing £1,500. I did
Mm.
not start from investing £2,000. My first investment was actually $10, right? Like, pere, just $10. And at the beginning, when you start investing, the amount doesn't matter so much. What actually matters is building the habits of investing, is teaching yourself how to invest and teaching yourself to do it consistently. That's what matters, not as much the amount. You want to train yourself to be able to invest consistently, to be able to put money aside, to understand how investing works, so that when you have more, when you have that £1,000, when you have £10,000, you already know what you're doing. Today I'm investing £1,500. In 5 years' time, I could be investing £10,000 every month, right? So that's the goal. But if I don't start now, if I say, oh, I want to wait till I have £10,000 to start investing, what are the odds that I would even know how to invest then? And that's why you would see a lot of people, right? They are earning so much money. They've been earning hundreds of thousands of pounds over a couple of years, but they are still living paycheck to paycheck. If they should fire them from their job today, in 3 months' time, they'll be out of food to eat. It's because they don't have the right saving habit, they don't have the right investing habits, they don't have the right systems. And to your question again, there is no minimum amount, right? If you have £1, if you have £10, you can start investing every month. So just start small, right? Starting small, starting now is more important than waiting till you have, I don't know, hundreds of thousands to start.
Yeah. So I think one of the major points here is creating the habits of
Yes,
investing.
yes.
Having that consistent role of investing, because if you're going to start with $10 today, £10 today, 1,000 naira today,
Mhm.
when you have that big money, it'll be easy for you to just cut that because
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, again, I did not start with one. I started with $10,
yeah.
right? But if I did not start then I'm building that habit, what will happen now is when I have this 1,000, and money has wings, like it will fly away. If you don't have that right system, now that I have the £1,500, I mean, I'll be buying Gucci bags, and I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to buy those things, but those are things I would rather most likely be doing than investing, because I don't have that right mindset. I don't have the right habits. But because I already have the right systems, the right habits, right, I invest first even before I buy things I want.
Wow. So cultivating the mindset of investing and just being consistent with it. There is no minimum amount, guys. Please take a risk. Please take a risk today. So now to the next question. What are some common misconceptions you've seen around investing? We already started talking about this where you mentioned something around, the African communities or the immigrant communities where we were not even given any kind of education on investing. I know that a lot of families talked about saving, but a lot of families didn't really instill that concept of, investing.
Mine
So,
sure didn't.
yeah. So, from your experience and also from teaching and educating people on investing, personal finance, etc., what are the common things that you've seen? And of course, if you have the time, just go ahead to like maybe bust the myths of the misconceptions around investing.
There are lots of them. As a financial educator, especially like on social media, I see, read so many of them in my comment sections. I get so many of them in my DM, so I can really speak to this topic. And the first one is that investing is a get rich quick scheme. Absolutely not, guys. You're not going to start investing today, and tomorrow, just
Like,
because you're investing, you're now going to one pound will turn to 1 million pounds. That's not going to happen. That mindset is why a lot of us fall into scams and Ponzi schemes, and why it feels like every 3 months there's a new MMM around the corner. Real investing is slow and steady. Another big misconception I see a lot of people have is that investing is like gambling. So gambling is guessing, like you are putting a finger in the air and saying, "Oh, this my money will turn to something," right? Investing is buying assets that have a track record of growing over time. There is a track record, there's a precedent, right, of whatever asset you're investing in growing over time. So that's what differentiates investing, in my opinion, from gambling. And of course, there's the idea we've already talked about, that you need a lot of money to invest. You don't, right? That belief stops people from even starting. For instance, I had a consultation call with someone, and she's very interested in investing. She said she was, and then we ended the call around the time we're going to end the call. She said, "Oh, she will start investing when she gets a better, bigger paying job." And I told her, "No, start now. Even with just £10, if it's just £10 you have a month to invest, start now." On that call, we opened her first investing account. We placed her first investment, and now over the last month, she's grown now to investing hundreds of pounds consistently every month. The point is, if she did not start by opening that account and starting with £10, today she will not be investing, even if it's £200. She will still be waiting till she can invest, I don't know, £100,000. And so when you start small and you start seeing even tiny returns, you are encouraged to keep going, and that's how it goes. So I think those are some of the common misconceptions I see, especially in our communities.
when you mentioned the get rich quick thing, I just thought of the days that people fell prey to MMM, this one, that one, come and get 100% in 2 days.
I don't blame them. See, don't judge me, right? But when I was in uni, I actually did something. I did something. It wasn't MMM. MMM had gone at the time. When I was in university, I did something similar. I think it was 7,500 or 6,500, and I never got my money back. Right? Imagine even that 6,500, but as far back as 2017, if I had put it in the stock market, I know what it would be now. Right? It's because we are not taught this. So like that's why I don't blame people. I don't judge, because that's what we know. Right? We are not taught investing. We don't know the stock market. So it's what you know that you do, right? And that's again why I have my platform Wealth from Scratch, and why I'm so passionate about educating, because the more people know about these things, the more they start to make the right decisions.
Yeah. So there's something I want to add. I don't know if it's a misconception,
Mhm.
or it's just more like, let me eat my money instead of my money to get missing inside investments. A lot of immigrant communities, a lot of African people, they want to eat tomorrow's yam today.
That's why I recommend starting with just £10, right? Because when you see that, your £10 has not disappeared over time, right? You'll be encouraged, especially if you invest it in the right things, which I'm sure we'll get into. But when you see that your £10 has not disappeared over time, you'll be encouraged to, put in 20, put in 30, put in 40. But that misconception of saying your money, there are people like, if you have a wealth building mindset, and again it comes back to your why are you even doing what you do, why are you watching this video right now, why are you even interested, why have you clicked a video on investing? If your why is you want to build wealth long time, if your why is you want to build financial freedom, you don't want to be working till you die, you want to get to a point where you have your money working for you, where you can actually live off your returns, then you would know that if you do it long enough, you would actually make gains from investing. Of course, the stock market is volatile, right? But that's with risk come return. There's an inverse relationship between risk and return. If you don't take risks, you won't get any. Like that's just how life works. There's an inverse return between risk and return. So you just again, this is what I'm sure we'll get into this, but you just need to understand what your risk tolerance is and invest according to that. So if you know you don't want to lose any money at all, I would say maybe stay clear. How it works is sometimes your money will go down, but it will inevitably bounce back. So that's how the stock market works. It's like this. It's never like a straight line. That's what saving is, and that's why you don't really get so much return from saving. Where it's just a straight line. They tell you put 10,000 naira or put £100 here, and at the end of the year you will get £10 added to it.
Mm.
That's savings. We investing is sometimes your £100 to become £150. Sometimes we come back to 120. Sometimes come back to 90. But over time, as you let it stay in that market, you get to a point where your baseline is at £150 and never goes below that. So again, I don't want to go too technical on this call, but the stock market is volatile. That's the nature of it. But when you invest based on a risk tolerance, there are low risk investments, there are medium risk investments, right? Once you start to do those kind of investments, you would have a different view.
So let's move on to the next question. You started from somewhere and you may have made some mistakes. So, are there any mistakes that you would like to share with us, or mistakes that you've seen other people make often when they're starting out, and then the best way to avoid those mistakes?
I really love this question because that's my whole thing, right? It's sharing what I have done, what I have done wrong, even what I am still doing wrong, right? So that we can all learn together. I'm not like a kind of expert telling you, oh, now I've made it, this is what I did. Is, showing you through my journey what I am doing. And I have made so many mistakes, but one I want to point out, because I see a lot of people also make this mistake, is starting off by investing in individual stocks. So I'm going to get a bit technical here. It's what does individual stocks mean, right? When I first started investing with the $10 I mentioned, first I put five dollars. I was in Nigeria, so I was investing back in 2019. So at first I put $5 into Apple. So I bought some Apple stock. So Apple is the company that does your iPhones, and then I put the rest into Microsoft. And I did this around, let's say, December, November 2019. The very second that stock started dropping in early 2020, when we started hearing rumors that there was going to be a lockdown, of course, all the stocks started dropping. I panicked and sold everything. And I still think about, I mean, it was a small amount of money, but I still think about how much that money would have grown if I just left it till 2021 after COVID, started easing off. And if I had just, because I started them, but I didn't go back to investing till much later in 2023. But if I had started back then in 2019, and even that $10 is what I was doing every month, what my investment portfolio would look like now. And I've said this to say, you should not be, if you're a beginner, you should not be investing in individual stocks. You need to understand your risk tolerance. Basically, how comfortable are you with the idea that your investment could drop by 50% in value? Most beginners like myself, we have low risk tolerance. I mean, you've not done this thing before, right? And then the first time you put money, the next day you wake up and your money has dropped by half. Of course you will panic. Of course you will want to enjoy your money, right? Because that's the first time you're seeing your money go down, right? So that's why I tell beginners to avoid individual stocks at first. I'm not saying never do it, but if you're a beginner, you should avoid it because they are more volatile. They are more subject to like going up and down, up and down. Instead, I recommend index funds and ETFs. My favorite way to explain what an ETF is like a smoothie, right? So instead of, if you when you go to a supermarket, you want to say, do you want to buy banana or apple or strawberry? Everything is entering your eyes, right? But if instead of stressing over which fruits to buy, you buy a smoothie that has your favorite fruits blended into one smoothie. That is what an index fund is. It has all the biggest companies. Again, depending on the one you buy, my favorite one is the one that tracks the S&P 500, which has the top 500 companies in the United States in one smoothie, in one ETF. So it has Apple, it has Microsoft, it has Tesla, it has Nvidia, it has Coca-Cola. All these companies are in one ETF. And when you buy that ETF, you now have access to all of those companies in just that one ETF. And this is less risky. Again, there is nothing that carries zero risk, right? Your capital is always at risk when investing, but this is way less risky. It's way less volatile because it is weighted. It is weighted across these different companies. So instead of, let's say you have £100 to invest, if you put that £100 in Apple, and like you said previously, let's say the CEO of Apple, disappears with the entire company or something crazy like that happens, your £100 is gone. But if you put that £100 in an ETF that is spread across 100, right? The only money that will be in Apple will just be like £1 or £2. But even if Apple should, disappear tomorrow, you just £2 will disappear. You still have £98 invested across other companies. So that's how an index fund works. And again, back to your question, that's one mistake I made because I started out investing with individual stocks. As soon as I saw it reduced from like $10 to like $7, I withdrew everything, and I did not go back to investing till almost 4 or 5 years later. So it's that's a mistake I see a lot of beginners make.
Hmm, interesting. That fear, that fear is natural. So I hope you don't even beat yourself up. This year there was a crash.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It took the strength of the Lord to keep that money there. And then I was like, this is the time to buy. Hello, guys.
Let me tell you. So I watched a movie one time, and then the person was saying how he gets excited when the market is crashing. Because the real investors, like again, that's why it's important to do it consistently. Because if you are doing £10 every month, if the market is crashing or not, you know you're doing that's it's called dollar cost averaging, right? Where you're just putting a consistent amount, a particular amount consistently over time. So that whether the market is crashing or it is going up, your money averages. If you are doing that consistently, you won't be bothered too much about market crashes because when the market crash, right, you already know you're doing £10, even during that period. You will get the benefits from the lows. Again, I don't because if we go into this, I'm going to keep talking forever. When the market is crashing is you should actually be looking for opportunities then, not withdrawing your money, right? Those when you withdraw your again, you don't just I'm just going to say one thing. You don't lose money in the stock market until you withdraw your money out, right?
Mhm.
It is when you actually cash out that money that you at a loss that you've lost money. If your money is still in the stock market, especially if you've invested again in the right things, depending on your risk tolerance, there's your money. It will go back up. The market comes down, but it always like this year alone. I think we've had like two crashes, right? I invested in those periods, and my portfolio is back up now. At that point, it was down, and now my portfolio is back up. The real investors know that crashes are opportunities.
Yeah, true. Crashes are opportunities. I'll put that on the t-shirt. Now, let's say people are interested.
Hmm.
They want to invest. They want to do like, yes, please, Joy, help me, hold my hand.
Hmm.
What are the tools or platforms that you recommend, especially for people that are just starting out? Remember, one of the things that makes people feel very overwhelmed about this investing thing is anytime you open any of these apps that does any form of investment is always complicated. So what are the platforms that you've seen, especially for people, let's just say maybe US, UK, Nigeria, especially because there are a lot of people in Nigeria that would even benefit from this information, and then the UK as well and the US. What
Sure.
platforms or tools would you recommend, personal recommendations, especially
Okay.
for people that are just starting?
All right. I think, of course, I'll give my personal recommendations, but there are so many good platforms out there. And I would say, just in case you don't want to use the ones I recommend, there are three things you should always be looking out for when, you know, searching for what platforms to use. It's one, like Princess has just said, do you find it personally easy to use? That something is easy to use for me does not mean it's easy to use for you. So you need to always consider that. Do you find it easy to use? And then second thing, very important, is the fees, right? 0.1% over 10 years is a lot of money, right? So you need to consider how much is this platform going to charge you to invest. So check the platform fees and also check do they charge commission per trade, right? That's something to always consider. The lower you can get that, the better. I would even say that's even more important than ease of use, perhaps. And then it's the other thing you should also be looking out for in investment platforms is what's the range of options that they have. So you want to make sure that you're selecting a platform that has a good variety of stocks and ETFs. So it's not a case where you want to buy one thing and it's not on that platform and then you have to go and look for another platform to buy it on. So you have all your investment concentrated in one. So my personal recommendation. So if you're in the UK and if you follow me, you know this is the one I personally use. So I use Trading 212 to invest. That's where I have most of my investments. There are a couple of others like Invest Engine that I've heard is really good and easy to use. There is Hargreaves Lansdown. There are a couple of others, but what I personally use is Trading 212 to invest. This is available in the UK and also in a couple of European countries. If you're in Canada, I've heard good things about Wealth Simple. I mean, I'm not in Canada, so I haven't used it, but I've heard good things about it. And then if you're in the US, there are a ton of choices. But what a couple of my friends in the US use is Robinhood, and I've heard that this is a very good one to start with. And of course, when you think about tools as well, you also want to make sure that you're investing in a tax efficient way. Again, if you're in the UK, US, or Canada, or even Europe, you're already paying so much in taxes. You don't want to be investing your Toro Kobo, your £1, £2, and then they're also taking taxes out of whatever you make on that. So in the UK, that means make sure you're always investing in a stocks and shares ISA. So whenever you invest within an ISA, your money is protected. The government doesn't touch whatever gains or dividends. I like to use this example that if you invest £1,000 and that £1,000 grows to £10,000, your £9,000 interest is for you alone. The government won't touch it, right? In the US, that means investing using accounts like the Roth IRA or the traditional IRAs. And then if you're in Canada, you should be looking at things like tax-free savings accounts, RRSP, the registered retirement savings plan. So always try to ensure that regardless saving, investing, always make sure that you're doing it in a very tax efficient way.
Awesome. What of Nigeria? Do you have any recommendation?
Yes. Oh, our people. No, no, no. So if you're in Nigeria, some of the platform, like I mentioned, I started investing in Nigeria. I mean, that $10 was in Nigeria, and the platform I used is Bamboo. I found it quite easy to use, and I know they have a variety of options. They also have ETFs, by the way. I saw recently that they have ETFs. So Bamboo is the platform that I know a lot of Nigerians find easy to use and navigate.
Just to add to that, there's a platform called RiseVest as well. They
Mhm.
help with like stocks investments, but I think they have two options. One where you have to pick yourself, and then the other one where you just have to give them your money, and then they would help you
Yeah,
trade.
that's like a robo advisor system. So a robo advisor is when you give a platform your money and then they invest for you. I mean, as a beginner, you can. I mean, I did that in the UK. There's a platform called Nutmeg that does something similar. I did that in 2022. I think for some months in 2022, I was using robo advisor, but again, back to the point about fees, they tend to have high fees because again, they are doing the investment for you, right? So they charge fees for that. If you already know what to invest in, and if you already know like the simple things to invest in that has low risks, you can just go ahead to do it yourself.
That's good. And then also you mentioned Robinhood for US.
Mhm.
Robinhood is also in the UK
It's
as
also in the
well.
UK. I know, I know.
So
I mean, we both went to their launch party in the UK.
exactly. So, in case you are already used to Robinhood, you can
Mhm.
just continue using it. And then, if you're trying to look for platforms where they help you, maybe you feel like it's safe enough for people to help you trade first. Maybe you can try that option where the platform helps you to trade, maybe with small amounts, and then you can now start buying your own
Even
stock. Yes,
even rather than that, there's also something else you could invest in. It's something called target date retirement funds. So this is also like another, and they tend to be cheaper than using like a robo advisor. A target date, I don't know if this is available in Nigeria, but in the UK you can use it using platforms like Vanguard, UK, US, Canada. What a target date retirement fund is, let's say you are 20 years old, or let's say you are 30 years old, and you want to retire, let's say when you are 60, right? When you invest your money in a target date fund, so you tell them target date fund 2060, right? That's when you want to retire. What the fund will do is it will invest aggressively for you at the start. So because you are still young, right? It will be investing in like ETFs, stocks, up until when start becoming, you just need to put, how it works, you just need to put your money into the targeted fund every month, right? Or whenever you want to invest, right? And it will automatically be investing for you. But then what's the good thing about this is as you start to get older, so as you start to approach 45, so this is now 15 years to when you want to retire, as you start to approach 50, it will become to start investing in less risky things like bonds and treasury bills. So it's almost like a robo advice, so a way of getting using a fund that is automatically invested for you as well.
That's very interesting. So, guys, please take note of all the things that we've mentioned, tools, platforms for like UK and other parts of Europe, Canada, US, and also Nigeria. If you're in any other country and you need recommendation, please say it in the comments, and then I'll tag Joy to respond to you. Thank you. So now, you mentioned something about the fear that people had, and you also had
Mhm,
when you started investing.
mhm,
Now, we know that a lot of people have that fear as well. So, thinking about it now, they know what to do, they know how to do it, they know the platforms to use.
mhm.
How can they stay focused and avoid making emotional or fear based decisions with their money?
Right. First is I'm not going to I'm not going to lie for you as our people will say is like what I've said throughout this call. First is your capital is always at risk when you invest, right? This is just something you need to know. It's and by this, I don't mean that you're going to lose all your money. It's that you need to understand that the market is volatile. Like it will go up, it will come down. You just make sure you invest in low risk investment that are less likely to have these fluctuations, right? That's just the nature of investing. But when you understand, and this is I keep repeating this because when you understand this, you are less likely to panic like I did in 2019 and make rash decisions the moment the market drops. Let me give you an example, right? I've started investing very actively now for a couple of years. There was a market crash that happened. I don't know, was it when earlier this year or late last year? I think it was early this year. There was a very big market crash. Yeah, when Trump just got elected and then there were all the tariffs and all. When my portfolio actually took a good hit, right? And with all I know, I was still tempted to withdraw my money. But because again, I'm very deep in financials, I follow a lot of other people as well, financial educators. I saw that all these very rich people I follow were holding on and they were even buying more at that point, right? That was what gave me the confidence not to. And I think that was my first serious market crash. And I actually saw my portfolio go from that crash to going back up again. So when you've seen that, you would realize whenever again after that one, another market crash, several has happened since then. I don't even bother with them again because I've seen it and I know that that is the nature of investing and it will go up and down. So now I'm not panicking, right? I'm not making rash decisions, right? To start either withdrawing my money, right? So that's something that would help you stay focused. The second thing is to have an emergency fund, right? So this is money that you keep in a high yield savings account. so that when life happens, you're not forced to sell your investment because, as we all know, life is always lifing, right? Life is always going to happen. And by the name, that's why you need to have an emergency fund. So the general rule is to have 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. So let's say you spend £1,000 per month on rent and food, have £3,000, have £6,000 saved up, right? So that when you need, maybe you have to pay hospital bill, or you need to do, or you get laid off, God forbid you get laid off at work, you don't immediately need to start selling your investments, right? So this gives you a safety net, so you don't sell as well, even when the market is down or when you suddenly need cash. Another thing is that would help you stay focused and to stop making investing emotional is to have a plan and automate it. So like I've said, if your goal is to start investing £10 or £100 every month, automate it so that at the end of every month when you get your salary, film £100 is taken out of it. Think of
Mm.
it like your bill, right? At the end of every month, you automatically pay your rents, right? You automatically, if you're in the UK, you pay your council tax, you pay your electricity bill. Think of investing like a bill, right? Where as soon as it's month end, you are taking out that money for it. So it's not a case where at the end of the month you're thinking, am I going to invest this month? You are not thinking, am I going to pay your rent this month, right? You're not thinking that. So similarly, think of it like that, like as a bill where at the end of the month, it's you already know that you have to invest £10, £100 that month.
Mm.
So this takes out that mental load of having to invest or the temptation of wanting to wait for the right time to invest because there's never a right time. Just do it. Just start now. And finally, it's understand that you won't make money from investing right away. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to start checking for abs after your first pull up. I mean, like you won't start checking if you have abs once you do your first pull up. No, but you know that if you stay consistent, right, one day you look at, like, if you hear a lot of gym story. I mean, me, I've still not gotten her abs. But what we've seen all these transformation stories online is like when you stay consistent, one day you wake up and you realize that you now have abs. I mean, just by the time my friend yesterday was saying that you have flat tummy, I was like, that sentence has never been used together with me before. But I've been consistent, right? So it's not like after my first gym session, I now had a flat tummy. But the more you do it, you will even stop thinking about it. Where it's now other people that are like, you've lost weight, or like you now have abs. That's the same way investment works. Do it consistently, and over time, you'll be surprised at how much your portfolio has grown. And that is the magic of compound interest.
Mm. Nah, I feel like clapping.
Thank you,
Wow,
thank you, thank
today,
you.
yeah, today has been really packed, and I'm so grateful we had this chat. I mean, I know most of, in fact, I know I might even know everything you've said today, but just having this conversation again is a great way to even like regurgitate the things that you already know. So
Yeah.
this is really good, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so so much. So today we've talked about several things, like from people that don't want to invest, the reason why they don't want to invest, to platforms you can invest in since you are now finally changing your mind to invest, and then breaking all the rules, the misconceptions. And we're two Nigerian girls, two African girls.
We're gonna make it. Nigeria girls way they go for it.
Exactly. So we're just hoping that you're inspired by this chat today, especially if you have not started investing. If you started investing and you were just doing it, on the low, trying to, you don't want to even take any risk at all. Remember, Joy mentioned that there is some form of risk if you're going to be an investor. We're not even talking about stocks and shares. Like if you want to invest in anything in life, even if you want to invest in startups, you want to invest in a garden, you want to invest in a house.
There's always some form of risks.
Exactly.
What's interesting is the longer you do it, the less. Again, I don't want to get technical, but if I show you the graphs, the longer you do it, the less the risks, because time, like the time, is the great leveler, right? The longer you do it, the less you get to a point where there's actually almost no risks for investing. But again, that's like another conversation.
Yeah, thank you. But anyway, the overall point is that we're so glad we had this chat today, and we know that a lot of people have now been educated. And of course, if you want more information, you have questions, anything, Joy's channel is all about the money, is all about the investment. Joy, I just want you to quickly just tell us about like your channel, your platform, so that people can even reach out to you, maybe even after now, to see how they can, invest and other stuff. Yeah.
Right. So, just want to say, like, investing is something that's very personal. There's so much noise online that it's very easy to get overwhelmed, but you need to understand your why. Why do you want to invest? For me, it's because I want to build wealth and I want to achieve financial freedom. And this shapes my investing strategy. And it's also inspired me starting my platform because I have been watching like a lot of podcasts like Princesses, watching people talk about money, watching people talk about financial freedom. And the thing with me was I felt like all those people they've made it. Like you're telling me, oh, I invested in this. Now you have $1 million. You can't relate to my struggles of just starting. So I thought, why not create a platform where I am also showing my struggles? I'm also showing what I am doing, what I have learned, so that in the future or in 5 years when I hit my $1 million goal, people can go back through my page to see everything I was doing right up until hitting that goal. So you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Wealth from Scratch because I'm building wealth from scratch. And on TikTok, it is Build Wealth from Scratch. And please check that you've got the spelling right. Hopefully, Princess links them in this video because I have a lot of impersonators out there. And just FYI, I will never DM you asking for money to invest for you. I don't do that. I will also never ask you to invest in crypto schemes or things like that. So if you ever get a message like that, please, it's not me. I also have a guide. So if you go on my Instagram, in the link in bio, if you just comment guide on any of my videos, this will get sent to you. So it's a step-by-step breakdown where I break down everything I invest in with screenshots of the platform I use and how I am personally building my $1 million portfolio. So comment guide on any of my videos on Instagram or check my link in bio and it will be sent to you. And lastly, if you want to book a one-on-one consultation with me, just send me a DM to arrange it.
Yay! Thank you so much. So she has an Instagram page that is very, very active. She has thousands and thousands of people, and we're on our way to 1 million followers on Instagram. Yes, and she also has a TikTok platform. But like anywhere that is more comfortable for you, please reach out to her. I'll put the link in the description box. So, guys, you've gotten to the end of this video. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please, please. We are begging. We are on the ground. Anyways, this was so much fun, and I've learned a lot myself. Like I said, even though I know some of these things, it's important to hear it over and over again. And
Yes.
I'm like, it's like I need to buy some stocks today. you
Mm.
know?
Me
Exactly.
too.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much once again,
Thank you for
and I'll see
having
you
me.
guys in the next one.
Thank you for having me. Bye.